I'm Lisa Marie Falvo.
And I'm Cara DeFalco, and it has been an unbelievable few days in New Jersey. Widespread flooding and damage still crippling parts of the state, including Lambertville in Hunterdon County. We've got entire roads flooded, not passable. Waters still have not receded from many of our areas, and it's just been the photos and videos that have been coming in are just incredible, Lisa.
Heartbreaking.
I mean, you can't even believe the power of it. NG On Air's Laura Jones is live in Lambertville this morning. Laura, we know there's been a lot of flooding damage. What have you been seeing?
Okay, I'm right along the Delaware River, right at the bridge that connects Lambertville over to New Hope, Pennsylvania. The river crested last night around 7:30, so it should start to recede. You probably can't see it, but there are trees coming down, entire trees that have been flowing down the river. One's kind of stuck under the bridge. But throughout the community, we have power outages. We have homes that are flooded. We have so many businesses that have been impacted. And yesterday I was taking a walk around town and I went to one area, it's called Canal Studios, where there is the Mill Ballet School, where there is a place called Rojo's Coffee, and there's also the Liberty Pizza, as well as a number of other businesses, local artists. And I spoke to the owner of Mill Ballet, Mark and Melissa Rossi have owned that, I believe, about 29 years. And I believe we've got some sound, so let's listen in to what he had to say about what he found yesterday.
Well, I don't really know what happened. We weren't here. This is the ballet, Roxy Ballet and the Mill Ballet, and we were here this morning, but we heard that the floodwaters were rising. We expected some rain, but we didn't expect this level of devastation. We had no idea. When we got here this morning, it's irreparable. I mean, there's no words to describe what this is.
And the building is going to be condemned, or it has been condemned?
I don't believe it's been condemned yet, but I know that we got some calls from the city asking whether it was inhabitable or whether or not the space was, uninhabitable, and it's not.
So people are cleaning up around the area as much as they can, trying to clear out the debris. A lot of people are wondering, how can we help? At Lambertville Public School, there is going to be a drive. They're collecting some water. They're collecting cleaning supplies and such. We've got a graphic made up from, I believe, 10 o'clock in the morning. You can start dropping off some of your donations over at the Presbyterian Church. As I was driving through, they have a table set up where people can just grab and go. Also, over at the Tot Lot, Cavella Park, the Lambertville Public School PTA rallied some of the local high school students, and they're going to be providing childcare for people from 10 a.m. to 6 o'clock. Now, last night when I was walking around, people had food that they had dropped off, helping out those who don't have anything right now. And later on, I'm going to go down to the other side of town where you can see the sidewalks. It's just people's belongings. What was in their households are now out to the curb. And it's just really, really heartbreaking to see in this community. And like I said, the river, you can kind of see, it's flowing very quickly. Crested last night around 7:30. I spoke briefly with the Mayor Julia Fall, through text. She has a meeting with authorities, JCP&L, because people are wondering, when are we going to get our power out? I don't have an official word yet. It could be perhaps 10, 11 o'clock tonight. Hopefully she's going to be joining us later on in the show. So that is the latest here, right along the Delaware River in Lambertville. Back to you all in the studio.
Laura, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll check in again with you a little bit later in the show.
Great. See you then.
Let's bring in meteorologist Mike Vivetta.
Of course, with all the information that everybody wants to know. I mean, it's been a beautiful few days here. We were all talking about how we've had the windows open and have been enjoying that. But man, why? I mean, it feels like nobody anticipated this, and maybe as the meteorologist, you might go, "I did."
It's hard to convey. It's hard to convey just how serious an event it was, especially going back to Monday. Now, I want to make it clear: I'm in a hotel not because the home is damaged, because I was at an event last night, so you don't have to worry about that. But regarding how much weather we had just in the last 48 hours, it really breaks not only all records, but all anticipations and expectations of just what the weather can do. So we wanted to start off today with a little bit of information regarding what's happening with the climate, why we've had so many of these extreme weather events with Henri just 10 days ago, and now with Ida's remnants falling here in New Jersey. So we'll start off with how these downpours have been coming in heavier and harder just in the last few years. In fact, you see here the map of the U.S. in the Northeast, 55% increase in the heaviest precipitation events. And this is a change from 1958 to 2016. So a lot of the energy in the atmosphere due to climate change, due to the atmosphere warming, and due to the atmosphere being able to hold more water. Well, if the atmosphere can hold more water, it can certainly drop more water on top of New Jersey. And that's exactly what happened with the more than 3 inches of rainfall that happened in a 1 hour period between 9 and 10 o'clock tonight, or last night on Wednesday night. I want to show you how the downpours have been increasing over the last several days. There's been river flooding. You see the purple dots here in New Jersey, one in Pine Brook and another one down a little further south over toward Greekstown. We'll show you those charts coming up. That's where there's major flooding. That's coming close to see the record crest of the Passaic River in Fairfield, New Jersey, where Floyd happened when it was about 23 feet. Those details coming up in just a bit. So really impressive weather from all aspects, but at least we're looking forward to the drier forecast over the next few days. Regarding how much rainfall fell, we have the amounts for you. Flemington, where Laura Jones was, 11 inches of rain, an incredibly high number. And even some of the other rainfall amounts in Manville, where the other river is, we'll show you that in just a bit, in Greekstown with the major flooding, 10 inches of rain, Ringo's, Harrison, Skillman, the entire central corridor of New Jersey that typically floods when there's a ordinary heavy rainfall event just due to the clay type of soil. You know, if you live in that area down toward Raritan, Somerset, there's a reddish type of soil that's clay, and it takes a very long time for that infiltration and that water to drain down. So all of that water simply ran off. The good news is we've got drier weather on the way today. You look outside, it is beautiful. The temperatures hold in the 50s and 60s now with the low humidity, on our way into the low 70s with the mostly sunny skies. So we get several days in a row of dry weather, and that weather lasts into the upcoming weekend. Maybe a sprinkle threat on Sunday, but it's nothing to worry about as the September feel rolls right in here in New Jersey, Kara and Lisa Marie, and lasts for the next several days. We'll talk more about that. We have more details on the river flooding as well. That's coming up for you right here on NJ On Air.
Thank you so much, Mike. So what can the state and local governments do when a disaster like this happens? Joining us live is former New Jersey legislator John Wisniewski. John, it's good to have you back here.
Good morning. It's good to be with you both.
So based on your experience in state government, what is happening right now in the governor's office to help with the recovery effort?
Well, the governor is doing what he's supposed to be doing, laying out state resources to assist communities, to assist families that have been devastated by the effects of, and it wasn't a hurricane anymore, but tropical storm Ida that wound its way through, the Mississippi Valley all the way up to New Jersey, and it was devastating. And here's an interesting thing. In Hurricane Ida, the death toll is up to 25 people, which is terrible. But compare it to Hurricane Sandy, which had 37. So it's not far behind the devastation that we had with Hurricane Sandy. And what this administration needs to think about after it helps clean up the damage, help families with the losses that they've sustained, is rethinking about how we plan for these events. Everything that's built in New Jersey is built in part with the calculation about how much stormwater is it going to have to handle? What's the rain going to be like? Well, we're looking at designs based on what used to happen in rainfall. We need to be thinking about what happens in the future.
John, it's so funny that you mentioned that. We recently had family visit from Florida, and they were surprised at our above ground power lines and some of the construction of the buildings because, obviously Southern Florida is more and more built for hurricanes. And that was a very similar comment that they made, that they were just really shocked at, the structures and the infrastructure here and why it wasn't necessarily, built to sustain these hurricanes. I said, we used to not get them.
We used to get away with building our infrastructure the way we have because we weren't really always in the eye of the storm. And just in the last decade, we've seen a succession of very bad storms. Where I'm sitting in Sayreville, just less than a quarter of a mile from my office, there are about 50 homes that are missing from Hurricane Sandy that were built and were there for 30 or 40 years. And so climate change is real. Government policy now needs to acknowledge that, not just simply by doing the big ticket items about emissions, but figuring out how we make our infrastructure tougher. Do we start burying power lines? Do we start increasing restrictions about development along waterways? And a lot of people think that when you're talking about storm resiliency, you're talking about towns like Manasquan or Asbury Park. But what you really need to think about as well are places like Flemington and Manville and New Brunswick, all that have rivers that run through them and that have been inundated by the enormous rainfall.
Yeah, of course. What do you think the biggest challenge moving forward is in the recovery from Ida?
Well, the challenge is always going to be getting the resources and the money to the individuals who need it. We saw, as a result of Hurricane Sandy, people waiting for assistance to rebuild their homes, waiting for years in many cases. And there are still structures. You can go anywhere in New Jersey that was affected by Sandy and still see structures that are boarded up that are not yet repaired. And so we need to learn from those lessons of Sandy and make sure the aid is getting to the people who need it as quickly as possible. But the second part of that has to be planning for the next event. It's not about if it will happen. We know it will. We don't know how soon, but the state of New Jersey needs to rethink about where we build things. We need to rethink about how we build things and the resiliency that we build in, because to continue to do things the way we have and keep repairing them and spending the money we have doesn't make any sense.
John, you had mentioned a lot of the problems with Hurricane Sandy and the inability of people to get help that they desperately needed. What should people with damage and insurance problems, what should they be doing now after Ida to ensure that they get the help they need?
So everybody with property damage needs to be contacting their insurance company. Now, most insurance policies won't cover flooding. You need to have flood insurance, and that's federally insured. But you need to document, you need to make your claim. I would imagine that there will be a federal disaster declaration for New Jersey, which will bring resources in from the Federal Emergency Management Administration. That will free up some money for those homeowners, those businesses that have been affected. That process is very paper intensive, very document intensive. So everybody should be creating records about your losses, creating records about not only your possessions that have been lost, but your economic losses as well, whether you've had to stay home from work, whether your business no longer exists. Those are important things, steps to take to protect yourself. But the other side of it is that government needs to recognize that it can do a better job in processing these claims, in putting personnel on the ground in New Jersey to make sure that those claims are being addressed and being adjudicated as quickly as possible.
John Wisniewski, thank you so much for joining us here this morning.
Great to be with you both again. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
When he's mentioning getting government relief for loss of business, this has been now the soundtrack of our lives we're going on 2 years.
Yeah.
Think about all of these businesses, the restaurants, I know that you hold near and dear to your heart, that, struggled to keep afloat during COVID and then
floated away.
But we're wiped out along, we're close to Nutley, Belleville, Bloomfield, Franklin Avenue, those restaurants.
Gone.
You can't wrap your head around what we all have collectively been through.
It really is mind-boggling as of late.
Well, the news just keeps getting worse here. As of this morning, Governor Murphy says now at least 25 people in New Jersey have lost their lives from this storm. The governor provided an update yesterday from Hillsborough. He said a majority of the deaths occurred from people being trapped in their cars by floodwater. Governor Murphy spoke with President Biden and also met with New Jersey's Office of Emergency Management and FEMA to coordinate recovery efforts. The governor also spoke about homeowners who suffered damage and those who lost everything.
Our homeowners, towns, and businesses will need a great deal of support in the wake of this storm, and we will work tirelessly with our federal partners to meet that need.
Governor Murphy declared a state of emergency on Wednesday in advance of Tropical Storm Ida's arrival.
Just heartbreaking. And then there was that tornado that moved across New Jersey Wednesday, left a path of destruction. Take a look at this video. It's an incredible thing to see. This is the turnpike near the Burlington-Bristol Bridge. Look at that. In Mullica Hill, multiple homes were destroyed. That's where we find our Gerald DeAmbra, who's in the neighborhood where several homes were severely damaged. Severely damaged might even be an understatement, Gerald. I mean, these homes were leveled.
Yeah, these homes are leveled. I mean, half of the home right over here to my left is completely gone. I'm going to show you that in just a minute, but it is getting really, really busy here in the area as there are tons of recovery teams. There is already construction beginning behind me, and I just want to show you some of the damage up close. And keep in mind, it's really sunny here, so let me know if you're unable to see this. But take a look. The entire half of this house right next to me is gone. Trees are down, fences are down. And then if I just pan right over to the right here, houses are completely untouched on the left and on the right. But this center area of the community here seems to be right where the tornado went through. And you can see these houses here. The house right here in front of you, there are crews there already working. They're bringing in lumber, I assume, to shore up the structure. A lot of the houses in this small area have X marks on them. They're uninhabitable. I just saw a recovery and FEMA crews walking around looking at the damage. They're here touring the area. You can see tarps if you look straight down. I'm not sure if you can see that, but you see straight down all the way to the end. That house is completely covered in tarps. The house to the left of it, you can see boarded up. The entire top floor is just gone. It's stunning to see just how powerful these storms are. I mean, look at this house right here. It is almost completely gone. And it's a total loss for people. If I pan over here to the right, and I believe you should be able to see that. You can see the house there. It has some damage on the roof to the left and to the right. It has an X mark on the door. It's not somewhere you can live right now. So it is a really, really tough situation out here. You can see a lot of companies have brought in food and water for the crews who are working here. It is really, really quite a sight to see. It's not something that you really ever expect to see here in New Jersey. I mean, this is something that we're used to seeing in other parts of the country. It's not something we're used to seeing in our state. And but the good news is that work is underway here. It looks like they're going to make some progress here, at least initially, cleaning up some damage, and we'll keep an eye on it and see how things change over the day. Back to you guys.
Gerald, thank you so much. Yeah, just an incredible thing to see. And it's so, I feel like tornadoes, and we'll talk to Mike Favetta about this too, but the tornadoes are so specific, like you were showing us, that one house that's just completely wrecked and the one, 2 doors down is fine.
Yes, it's amazing. And even the governor said it yesterday when the governor was standing here yesterday, meeting with some of the families. And he said, to the left of me and to the right of me are untouched. But right here, you can see this incredible path that the tornado took. And it just ripped through here in seconds. And actually, Pam, I have a video. If we can pop that up, guys, I do want to show you. There's a homeowner locally who recorded the tornado, and it looked like it was at pretty far away, but within seconds, it was bearing down on him, and it was right on top of his house. And and you see him run through the house and run from the backyard to the front yard, and then suddenly he's taking his dog down into the basement, and it just really shows you how quick these storms come on and just how powerful they are. When he comes back upstairs, the windows are blown out and he has some damage. It looks like that home did not suffer severe damage, but still there was plenty of damage there. It could start for a second here, but now after it's just seconds it happens, and after the tornado, he heads over to the window and you can see the windows completely blown out. Oof. And look, the tornado's already that far away. So this thing moves that fast. It's that powerful. It is really, it must have been incredibly scary to live.
I was going to say, what a scary, scary moment. And I guess it's a blessing and a curse simultaneously that we have the ability to record all this in the moment, but
right.
Boy, yeah. Something to see and so scary. Gerald, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, our continuing coverage of the aftermath of Ida and the storm's impact on our state.
And you can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll keep you updated on who is going to be on the show. Be sure to check us out and click follow.
2020 felt like a dark tunnel, and while 2020 is over, the impact is not. The pandemic affected both our physical and mental health.
We started the Cody Fund for Mental Health to change lives, so we want you to know about NJ211.
It's a referral service for anyone in crisis, even children.
I'm living proof that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
And it's not a train, it's help. It's NJ211.
The American Lung Association invites you to join us outside in 2021 for our Fight for Air Climb events. Now more than ever, we need you in the fight for clean air and healthy lungs. Let's go outside and climb, because every step counts. Visit us at lung.org.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. NJ on Air's Laura Jones joins us live from Lambertville. Hi, Laura. Do we have Laura?
Because I'm on North Union Street. Oh, hey there. I'm on North Union Street in Lambertville. I'm about ready to move because there are people, construction workers, there are volunteers trying to come and clear the area. But this was the gentleman I interviewed earlier, Mill Ballet. You can see this was the outside. This is boarded up. Yes, that is a picture of my daughter when she was a little girl, where she took ballet. Literally thousands of people have taken ballet. Kate, you can come on over here. I've got my daughter kind of playing field producer with me today. So I'm going to take a walk down to see one of the local coffee spots here. It's called Rojo's, and you can see here, there we go. There's just not a lot left.
Wow.
It's just such devastation. So a lot of people, they come here, start their morning. And, people were just recovering from the pandemic. Down from there, Rojo's, you can see the work going on. And then there's Liberty Hall Pizza right down here as well. That building, this building, I believe, will probably be condemned. Don't quote me on that, though. Now, as I cross the street, because, it's not just the businesses that are affected. When I show you all of the furniture on the side of the street, this is just it's very hard to see, because this is not garbage. This is people's belongings. This is from their homes. And it's extraordinary. Where we are in Lambertville, canal behind us, hill, mountain on the other side. And, the water came in, rose up about 8 feet in this area. So can you see? All right, so I walk here. We just keep going and going and going and going and going with all of the property that was lost, all of the property. It's just, it's really quite devastating. And when the rains were coming in, we were under a tornado warning. So people were going down into their basements. And to a certain degree, it was a little bit of a blessing because we were in their basements and then they would go back up to the main level of their homes, but they knew to go check their basements because then the water started flooding in. It's different degrees of destruction. Some just have, a few inches in their basement. Other people, like I said, this area, it came up nearly 8 feet inside of some of the businesses. And I know we had a lot of pictures from the night, because the night of the rain, it just looked like this roadway looked like, there we go. It looked like river, like a river was running right through it, right in the middle. Okay, tiny house and a pool. There's a truck that got lifted up and relocated. Yeah, look at that. So all of this is from around Lambertville. I believe these pictures were taken by Shelley DeSalvi, who is a 3rd grade teacher at the West Amwell School. Actually taught my daughter when she was in elementary school. And so you can see these are businesses, these are homes. Yeah, look at that. It's a picture speaks 1,000 words, and behind every single picture there is a family, there's a business, there are people impacted by it. So right now we still don't have power in the area. We are looking to talk to the mayor. We have not heard back from her just in the past half hour or so, because she's on the line, I believe, with JCP&L trying to get some updates. So that is a little bit of the latest that we have from here. This is North Union Street. You can probably hear generators in the background. And as I turn back here again, can you see all of the destruction?
Terrible.
Yeah,
and
just
devastation.
The belongings is just heartbreaking.
Right. I mean, look at this. I can just keep walking, probably.
I can't believe how much is out there, Laura.
It's so
but look
striking.
at the flag. Do you see the flag out there? I don't know if you can see the flag in the background. Well, there's a flag that's drying out, massive flag. Yeah.
What's so striking about these images is that, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So we're looking at this complete devastation against that 9/11 clear blue sky.
Right. And here's the other thing. 20 years since 9/11, 10 years since we were flooded in Lambertville from Irene.
Yeah.
I'm just going across the field here because this flag, like I said, there we go.
There it is. I see it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Laura Jones, thank you so much.
You are welcome. You're welcome. Everybody stay safe.
Yes, you as well. You as well. You and Kate. She did a great job today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's bring in meteorologist Mike Favetta with another check of the weather. And Mike, we were talking to Gerald earlier, and he was showing us the tornado damage and just how, pinpoint it can be.
Yes, I know. These tornado tracks are not very wide, and I'll get to the tornado images in just a bit. But we want to start off with your weather headlines this morning, because there's a lot to talk about regarding the cleanup and the wrap-up of what's happening, because the rivers haven't even crested yet. They're still overflowing here in New Jersey, specifically the Pine Brook River, or the Passaic River over in Pine Brook in Fairfield, New Jersey, right along Route 46, as well as the Raritan tributary, the Griggstown River, Millstone River over in Griggstown. So with all of the conditions that continue to give us the flooding threat throughout the weekend, we're not going to see those rivers crest until later tonight. I want to show you some of the charts here that show with the record amount of rainfall that hit Newark, more than 8 inches, coming close to the Floyd rainfall that happened back in 1999, a really incredible amount of water. And what that does is all of the river swelling drains down. You saw the images, I'm sure, of the lower level of Terminal B flooded with rainwater. Now back off to the west of there, 20 minutes back off to the west, you have the Passaic River at Pine Brook that is forecast to crest later on tonight. So right there in the center of the screen, the river is running at 21 and a half feet, which is already in major stage and has yet to crest until tomorrow morning, right at 8 a.m. at 22 and a half feet. So really incredible just how much rainfall we'll get. And we'll have Lisa Marie coming up in just a bit telling you with some pictures of what it looks like in that area. Also, southern New Jersey had the severe weather with the tornadoes. So with that, some of the tornadoes that have happened, such as the 40 warnings so far in New Jersey and 13 confirmed tornadoes. There are an additional 7 tornadoes that the Weather Service confirmed last night around midnight, including that EF3 tornado with 150 mile per hour winds right in Mullica Hill, where Gerald was, the 4th one ever recorded in New Jersey. They are severe with 150 mile per hour winds. And, looking at the damage, it's like people have been mentioning, it's like damage that you would see in Oklahoma, in Iowa, not necessarily in New Jersey. That's how rare of an event it was. Good news is we've got beautiful weather today, tomorrow, as well as Sunday. Monday for Labor Day, looking even better. We're going to talk more about that Labor Day forecast and look at the brighter days ahead. That's coming up, Lisa Marie and Kara, in just a little bit.
Mike, thank you so much. I almost forgot we were going into Labor Day weekend. It's been such a wild week so far.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you for bringing the sunshine, my friend. We appreciate it always.
You bet.
So we have been seeing flooding on roads across the state, including in Essex County. Joining us now from the Fairfield Police Department is Chief Anthony Manna and Officer RJ Casandino. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I know you have a very, very busy morning, so thank you so much for joining us here today. What kinds of problems are you seeing around Fairfield?
Thankfully, we're not seeing as much as we first anticipated. We have some road closures. We are starting to get, it started in the west end of our town yesterday, but now it is creeping into the east end. But looking at projections, we are cautiously optimistic that we're not going to see what we initially thought might be levels of Irene. So that's a good thing.
Which is, thank God, because as you know, I have a lot of family in the area. My grandparents, they live on Club Road, which was underwater 10 years ago, unfortunately. So I'm happy to hear that is hopefully not going to be the case now.
We hope so. We hope so. Again, we're still taking, you talked about the beautiful day there is, and that sometimes gives people a false sense of security over the last few days. Quite frankly, probably the 2 most gorgeous days we've seen in a while, but that doesn't stop the river from rising. So again, for your viewers, we just want them to heed any warnings that they may get from the township, because we do monitor this very closely. So while they may look out their window and say they don't live anywhere near a river, they don't think anything's coming, because we do have a lot of new residents in town, they still need to make sure that they follow our instructions.
Yeah. And gentlemen, this kind of storm can be exhausting and dangerous for your officers. Was this, how do you guys, or Chief rather, how do you prepare your team for something like this?
And that's a good question, because probably 60%, maybe even higher, are new officers who have not been here for Irene, so they have not yet experienced the flood. So prepping for this was a little bit more than usual, educating them on what they should do relative to driving into floodwaters, as you saw in Hopewell, where those officers got in trouble. And also just the fact of stepping out into water and the dangers that may occur. So the education process this time was a lot more tedious. But as far as keeping morale up, our department, we are self-motivating. I have to say, we have a great group of guys. We give them good food. We give them a little time to talk, and really don't have them out there. They're standing by waiting for emergencies. So they self-motivate. This doesn't appear to be a sustained incident where we've been in our police station for 7 days, where you really have to work on keeping morale high, because having no days off, our shifts are divided in half. So the whole department's here either working nighttime or daytime, and going into a Labor Day weekend where most people planned to be away, and now I had to recall them. It is tough, but I have a good group of guys, and I don't think it's really impacting them at all.
Chief, I like that. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to comment that he said, we give them some good food, because, here at the NJ Morning Show, we always appreciate a good meal ourselves. So I like where you guys are headed. I like where your minds are at.
Thank you.
And Fairfield does not have a shortage of that. That is for sure.
That is correct. We actually, Lisa Marie, we're cooking our own this year. So we have a couple police officers who have showed off their culinary skills. So they're out at the barbecue, and everyone's looking forward to a good lunch today. So it's a nice day. We're working hard, but we are still taking the time to have a little camaraderie as well.
No, well, that's so important. So I know you're doing such a great job updating citizens through your Instagram page. I'll shout it out right now at Fairfield PDNJ. But now that we have a captive audience, what should people do to prepare in the coming 24 hours? What are some of your tips?
So what we've been telling our residents to do, we had a lot of sand delivered here. I believe it was 14,000 pounds of sand. So we're filling sandbags. So we're advising residents that are in some of those more flood prone areas that they can come here. The sandbags are filled for them. We are offering them to assist them in evacuating if they think they need to. Like the chief said, we're not anticipating this to be a sustained event over a week or so like the past floods have been. So if the people want to get out for the weekend, they can always contact us and we can assist them in doing that. We're advising our residents at this time that they do not need to shut off any utilities. I know that's always a big question that we get in the previous floods. So they should not do that as well. And then just keep monitoring all of our updates. We're very active on social media, on our website. We're keeping up on all the road closures. So just keep monitoring our social media and our press releases. We're sending out Nixle messages several times a day just to keep everybody updated on the conditions as it's evolving.
Chief Manna and Officer Casandino, thank you so much. And in a few weeks, when we're moved into our new studio in Fairfield, you have to come and visit.
Love that.
Definitely will.
That's our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, Lisa. So we are going to be moving right to our Gerald D'Ambra, who is live in Mullica Hill. And he's been showing us that tornado damage that just, it's, you know, Gerald, Mike was saying, you know, it's such a rare thing. We've only had 4 tornadoes like this ever in New Jersey. So to see these homes like this in our state, you know, it's wild. It's not something we associate with the Garden State.
And when you think about 150-mile-an-hour winds, and I'm here on Josephine and Marvin Lane, where 9 homes were destroyed. And I'm going to give you another tour here and take a look. You can see tarps up, windows are completely blown out. This house right here, it's completely lost its
Even that
floor.
tree in the foreground kind of catches my eye, just how it's, you know, snapped.
Yeah. I mean, there's even, you know, a speed limit sign that has flown all the way over here.
Wow.
And it's really incredible to look. I mean, these metal fences here just completely ripped out of the ground and laying on its side. Governor Murphy, he was out here yesterday to survey the damage. He met with some of the families from these homes here. He had an opportunity to talk to them about what happened and about what's next for them. The governor says that the state is going to provide assistance. They're going to provide a website, and they're going to provide links to help from the state, help from FEMA, help from places like Red Cross. They're working to get these families the help they need. And, you know, like we've seen in Sandy, that help can come immediate. Government doesn't necessarily move fast, but you know, let's hope this time around that these families are helped and helped quickly. Let's take a listen to what the governor had to say when he was here yesterday.
You know, an extraordinary, sadly tragic, historic 24 hours in New Jersey. There's no other way to put it. Needless to say, look on either side of us right now in the impact of these tornadoes that touched down in this county and here, obviously in Mullica Hill, but also in Winona, Deptford, Woodbury Township. Thank God, unless someone knows otherwise, casualties are extremely limited, which is there but for the grace of God, which is extraordinary. Look at the house behind us if you want to get a sense of how it could have been. And as Steve Sweeney has said, if you look at either side of the path of this, you've got houses to the left and right, which are largely intact, if not completely intact. And yet you've got houses that right in the path that are destroyed. Efforts. I just want to make sure this isn't, I can't see this thing. Yeah, I believe this may be the president, so I'm just going to take this and make sure.
Tell him I said hello.
So the governor, as you can see there, he did speak with President Biden about what happened here, about the tornado. He also met with FEMA and he met with New Jersey OEM. And, they are working already here. There are crews here. They're touring. There are work crews here already. Obviously, the tarps are already up on the houses, but behind me here, there are crews that are working to shore up these houses. They're bringing in lumber, and they're working to get this community as safe as it can, as quickly as they can. You can see it happening here right now. It's pretty incredible what's going on.
That's wonderful for those people there. I mean, that video with the governor, that one house, it almost looked like a dollhouse. Just the whole side wall was sheared off, and you could look right into it to the upper and lower levels. I mean, it's incredible.
I'll tell you what. I think a lot of people ignore the tornado warnings that come on their phone. I think after this, most people in New Jersey are taking warnings much more seriously. And because look at what happened here, and I doubt anyone in this community expected anything like this to happen.
Yeah. Gerald, thank you so much. And the wind is kicking up there once again.
It is.
We can tell, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's check in with meteorologist Mike Favetta. How you doing, Mike?
Yeah, not as windy as a big weather event. It's breezy for a nice sunny day, so we'll take it, especially if you want to enjoy some outside time. If you maybe just need a break this weekend. This week, even if you weren't directly impacted, it's just a lot to see your fellow New Jerseyans go through so much. So we'll talk a little bit about the weekend weather upcoming. Want to show you, though, start off with a graphic of how much rain has been falling over the last several decades. And while this graphic we showed you before, there's also other graphics that show the amount of rain over the course of time back from the 1950s. We've had the increase in severe rains with 3 inches of rain falling on particular days. That number has increased very rapidly, in fact. So much so that the Millstone River in Greekstown crested at near record levels earlier yesterday at 23 feet. The old record is 24. So just insane inundations as they just had really bad rainfall and flooding due to Henri just a few days ago. All right, regarding our weather going forward into this weekend, it actually looks pretty nice. Today, a mostly sunny day, some light breezes around, a few little fair weather puffy cumulus clouds, and we've got a pretty day ahead with low humidity. That will actually make it great weather to head toward the beaches this afternoon, especially with the nice warm sun on the sand. This is what we call local summer down along the New Jersey shore, and with temperatures arriving into the 70s each afternoon, it'll feel very pleasant, even with that water temperature nice and warm and a low risk of rip currents. That's good. If you can't make it today, we've got tomorrow, also a great beach day with Cape May coming in at 76 degrees, Seaside at 75, mostly sunny skies, but there could be a few scattered showers around by the end of Sunday. We'll get more about that coming up in just a bit. We've got your 7-day forecast coming up. We also have our weather menu for outdoor dining because we have a guest chef in just a few minutes. We'll talk more about that, Karen, Lisa Marie, in just a bit.
Thank you so much, Mike. So let's get to some other good news. Governor Murphy says New Jersey will almost certainly reopen some of its COVID-19 vaccination mega sites to meet the demands for upcoming booster shots. The governor says he's waiting for the CDC's final authorization on them. Health officials are recommending an extra dose 8 months after people get their second shot of the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine. But with Delta, that can be moved up to 6 months. If that happens, 2.4 million New Jerseyans would become eligible for the shots starting September 20th.
And I know my parents are first in line. They want their booster shot. So it's good to see that they're going to be easily making that available to the folks who want it. And this one going to personally impact me. A lot more people have been traveling over the summer, but with so much uncertainty around the Delta variant, is it a good idea to travel this coming fall, especially overseas? Hello, Italy. The European Union is recommending the United States be removed from a safe list of countries for non-essential travel. Now, a new report from Insuremytrip finds France, Greece, and Italy are among the top destinations for New Jerseyans. Joining us now is Megan Walsh, a product manager for Insuremytrip.com. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning, and it's really nice to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So tell us a little bit first off about Insuremytrip.com. What does your company do?
So we work with many of the top travel insurance providers, and we have a website that allows you to compare many different policies. You just enter in your trip details, and you will be able to see and compare the plans that are available to you.
That's so great. So if you booked a trip overseas or you're looking to travel, what should you know right now?
So I think you should know, what are the potential restrictions? What are the mandates that are in place right now? And, what is your comfort level? Right now, where, as you just mentioned, we're seeing a lot of people wanting to go overseas, and with the new restrictions that are being put into place, it's definitely an important thing to look at insurance at a time like this.
And Megan, what happens if they do decide to make that change, and or if a lockdown goes into place and you can't go on your trip? What can people do?
Right. So the first thing would be to check with any travel suppliers and see what their cancellation policies are. See if you can recover any money there. But it would also be good to also purchase a travel insurance policy. And we are seeing many customers wanting certain flexibility for things like fear of travel due to COVID and new variants that we're seeing, and also potential lockdowns that countries are putting into place. So standard policies typically don't cover fear, lockdowns, issues like that. So it is important to, when you're comparing policies, potentially look at one that offers an option that we call cancel for any reason. And that may be your only option to be able to recoup up to 75% of your trip cost in the event that you need to cancel.
Yeah. So how does travel insurance work for those that have never even thought to purchase it before these times?
Right. So we do recommend that you purchase your insurance just shortly after you've made your initial trip payment to be eligible for the most benefits. As I just mentioned, cancel for any reason, it is a time-sensitive benefit. So usually you have to be purchasing your policy within 10 days to 3 weeks after making your initial payment to be eligible for that coverage, among other eligibility requirements as well.
Megan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And again, guys, you can learn more at Insuremytrip.com. Megan Walsh, thank you so much once again. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Kara, before we go to break, what's the status of Italy? Are you starting to worry?
I try not to worry too much. No, I spoke with my tour operator just the other day, and as of right now, it is still either proof of vaccine, a negative COVID test, 72 hours before your arrival, or apparently you can also provide proof of antibodies if you had COVID and recovered. So they are still accepting those things, and it looks like that will be the case through October, which is when our trip takes place. So, but everybody has the trip insurance as well. So we will make it work.
Yes. Well, we're skipping the break. We're just going to go right to our friend Mike Favetta with a check of the New Jersey weather.
Yes, we've got a beautiful day ahead. In fact, here up in Bud Lake, a lot of sunshine across New Jersey, especially in the hills. You have that cooler, drier breeze, but it will make it a day, whether you want to go to the mountains today or even down to the mostly, clear beaches. We will come back with a look of your forecast, especially as we want to get to how outdoor dining is, because we have a guest chef on our show today over in Livingston, New Jersey. The Feathered Fox. Can't wait to meet him.
Yes, that is it. Thank you, Mike. So there's a new 80-seat restaurant from executive chef and owner Chris Syverson, now open in Livingston. The Feathered Fox is chef's modern interpretation of the traditional American steakhouse, and it is situated inside Livingston's Westminster Hotel. Chef Syverson joins us this morning. We so appreciate your time. We know it's been a wild week and a wild morning. Good morning, Chef.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good.
Congratulations on the feathered fox. Bold move, and in these times, opening up someplace new. I applaud you.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride actually. We were actually slated to open up the restaurant prior to COVID. We were about 6 weeks out, and then COVID came, and we had to put the brakes on and figure out how to survive over a year and then get through it.
So tell us about the feathered fox. What's the menu like? What are you most proud to be serving?
Well, the menu is definitely modern steakhouse. We have a really great sushi component to it, which has been a lot of fun. Nice. The emphasis really is on amazing quality meats. But we throw in some, twists on, classic dishes with modern takes on things. And it's really been fantastic so far.
What are some of your favorite dishes that you offer?
Definitely the steaks, hands down. I would suggest any of the sushi. I had my hand on all of the different dishes that were going to go on the menu, clearly. But I wanted to be involved with all of the sushi components. I just love that part of a menu. But one of my favorite dishes is one of the simplest, which is a classic Caesar salad. I grew up in an Italian household, and having a homemade Caesar salad done old-fashioned style. So I was really excited to put that on the menu. But we have a really great octopus dish that is really one of my favorites as well.
Oh, I love octopus and a good Caesar salad. You're right, Chef. People don't appreciate, a true homemade Caesar salad anymore.
Correct.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Caesar salad with a good steak. I mean, sold. I can't wait to visit. Just looking at your menu too, another item that stood out was the truffle scallop. Anything with truffle, I love. So the truffle scallop roll. Tell us about that.
It's so delicious.
Yeah.
So we bring these amazing Hokkaido scallops in from Japan, and they're thin sliced and layered on top of a sushi roll that we just give a light torch to, and then we sprinkle it with some truffle salt and some truffle shavings, and a little truffle oil, and it is just one of the best rolls that we've got, and it's such a classic combination of truffle and scallop.
That's I really need to start eating before we do the show, because we do generally have the best food guests on, and then my stomach starts to rumble. And I think Mike Favetta has some questions for you as well.
That's the thing. I knew. And welcome to the program. I'm really excited about this restaurant. I was born in Livingston, so growing up there, big fan of the area. And with all of the unique flavors happening across New Jersey, are you finding that you have a little bit of trouble getting the best and the freshest produce in, especially with prices being so high, with a lot of the supply chain issues, due to COVID? How is the restaurant adapting to that?
It's a challenge. I mean, prior to COVID, I was okay. And then once COVID hit and we still weren't open yet, and we were planning, and I saw the meat prices rising, and I'm like, I'm opening a steakhouse at one of the worst times ever. But we're adjusting with portion sizes. We're adjusting with pricing, clearly. It's been a challenge. It's also been a challenge just getting supplies, shortages on a lot of different things, and even deliveries. A lot of our vendors have trouble getting drivers to get us the product, and so we're, it's been quite the challenge for sure. But I think it's just it's us redefining how we're doing things in order to make everything great.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, there's staff shortages. There's also COVID still lingering. How have those instances impacted you?
Yeah, the staff shortages are probably the hardest thing right now in the industry, and I'm hoping that it gets some sort of relief in the next month or so. It's so many parts of it. I mean, it's more complicated than just pointing to one factor, and I think it's just, again, having restaurants re-examine how we do things and figure out what's the best way to move forward so that we're giving great service, and people aren't looking and thinking that we're giving bad service when we're just shorthanded. So it's definitely been a challenge.
Yeah. Before we go, I have a fun question. Where did the name Feathered Fox come from?
Yeah, so it's a unique name for sure, and I always said if I do another restaurant, I want to have something with an animal name in it. I always felt like it just immediately signifies a restaurant or a pub or something. And the idea of a fox is so unique because it's a cool animal. It's got such a history of storytelling and such. And so we were talking about, making it more mythical, and the idea of a feathered fox is kind of neat if you can picture it. And we had an artist do a rendering of a feathered fox that we've adapted. That's really cool. And you can picture this mythical creature running through the woods, and and I think that's kind of what we wanted to set the stage for the restaurant, that somebody would come in and just with the name alone know that it's going to be a little bit more interesting than just the traditional steakhouse. And even though we have some traditional items, which you have to have for a steakhouse, we have a lot of we definitely have a lot of interesting things and fun cocktails and really great wine list.
Chef, I keep looking. I'm not kidding. I'm so hungry at this point. I keep looking at it. Guys, I think I know where our next team outing is going to be.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure,
Yes.
right?
That's a great idea.
At the Feathered Fox.
Yes, Chef, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We so appreciate your time. Folks at home, you can check them out at thefeatheredfox.com, and you can also call to make a reservation. And Chef, hopefully we will see you very soon. Thank you so much.
That would be great. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and I'm glad to be on.
Have a great weekend. Mike, so for those of us who are planning to go out or do something fun this weekend, because it is in fact Labor Day weekend, I actually keep
I know.
What do we have in store? Is it more beautiful? I am not mad at this weather. I don't know, but I know some people are like,
It's very pretty.
I love it.
An unofficial poll, let's call it an anecdotal poll, doing TV weather now for almost 15 years, and everybody says that their favorite season here in New Jersey is the fall. You get these beautiful dry days, great hair weather. At the wedding I attended last night, all of the bridesmaids were very concerned about their hair with the humidity, but the dry weather actually helped out. Looking at the menu, it looks pretty impressive. Spanish octopus, lobster cavatelli. This weather menu, however, for the outdoor dining this evening, a little bit of a chilly breeze shaping up across most of the state, especially with highs that climb into the 70s today. But remember, the sun is setting earlier in the evening, so the temperature at 6 p.m. in Morristown, only 69 degrees. Even over toward Hoboken and Princeton, around 70 for you. There will be a little bit of a breeze off of the warmer Atlantic because the water temperatures out toward the beaches are the warmest they are all year round. And with Cape May coming in at 74 degrees this evening, it's actually going to be one of the finer weekends for outdoor dining, specifically tonight as well as tomorrow. So, like you mentioned, over at the Feathered Fox, head out and support those local businesses. Our forecast for the weekend: dry today, dry tomorrow. By Sunday, there could be a few pop-up sprinkles, but going into Monday and Tuesday of next week, we actually see a little bit of increase in the warmth and an increase in humidity as well. So fantastic weather throughout the weekend. Hopefully everybody gets to enjoy it. And those that are dealing with their damage, at least they have decent weather to aid in the cleanup process, because there's nothing worse than, foul weather just to kind of hamper those efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, thank you very much. Thank you all for watching this morning. And again, for our fellow New Jerseyans who are struggling, please know that we support you. And of course, if there's anything anybody here at the team can do for you, reach out, send us your photos and videos. We'll certainly share them on social media. Again, you can follow us at NJ Morning Show, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We would always love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fabulous Labor Day weekend.